All right, I'm here with Kyle Conel. How are you doing today, man?
Good. How are you?
Pretty good. What have you been up to since the quarantine started?
Uh, basically looking for a job right now and
Yeah.
playing video games. And I've been working on my own. I do a little bit of game programming and stuff. So I've been working on that lately. But basically, just trying to keep myself busy right now as I'm basically staying home all the time.
Is that like freelancing game programming or just like on your own for fun?
Just on my own for fun. Like eventually, I want to be able to like release something. So I started working on a project a few weeks ago, and I really got into it this week. So hopefully I'll have something like playable here in the next few weeks, and
Okay.
then I would like to I would like to release something by the end of the year. Um, but it's for me, it's pretty much just a hobby at the moment.
Okay, so I'm a lot of the listeners probably won't care as much, but I just graduated like this week in computer science, so like I care about it more, I guess.
Yeah,
But
I was
like
computer science undergrad.
yeah, that's sweet. What kind of like technologies do you use?
For my game programming, I've used pretty much C Sharp and Unity. You've probably heard of Unity if you were like
Yeah.
computer science.
I tried
So like
messing around with it and yeah.
it's it's kind of hard, but it's like pretty fun. If you find the right resources, it's like things get a lot easier. But in school, I worked with C++. That was basically what we learned programming with. And then I've messed around with like Python, like HTML, with like JavaScript, like making websites and stuff like that. But mostly it's pretty much been like my game programming that I've done that before. I've done that since like my freshman year of college, and I wasn't computer science when I first started, so I started it before I switched majors that year. So I've been pretty
Same.
interested in it since I was a kid.
Nice. Okay, before we get into the wrestling, do you think like wrestling just kind of coincides with programming?
What do you
Like
mean?
do you think you can kind of use like the skills you develop from wrestling like in programming?
I think you can use like the skills you develop wrestling pretty much anywhere, just because
Okay.
in well programming, I see what you're saying now. I never really looked at it like that, but like when you run into a problem in programming, it's just like you can either give up or or you can like
Yeah.
be relentless and find an answer, because sometimes it's just like you have an issue and it's like you're the only person, it feels like you're the only person in the world who's had it and you just kind of figure it out yourself. Or sometimes you have an issue and you just got to go digging, you just got to keep working with things until you figure out an answer.
Yeah. Okay. Good stuff. Um, so yeah, now we can get to the wrestling stuff. But I guess just tell me, how did you initially get into wrestling?
So initially, I'm the youngest of five, but my brother, he's about a year older than me, we're real close, and my other siblings are a little bit or just significantly older than me. Um, so my brother's a year above me in school, and when he was in seventh grade, he started wrestling, and I was in sixth grade, so I'd go to the matches, and I played. I the only sport I ever played was football before that, and like I played some t-ball, but like a year. Um, but going to the matches, I was like, man, I could do that. I could beat these guys. I'd whoop these guys. And then the next year, I was in seventh grade, so I decided to wrestle because my brother was still wrestling, and I wanted to wrestle. And one, I didn't even like start. Into I wrestled all exhibition matches, and I lost every single one of them that year. So that was not a very fun year. But I made a deal with my mom the next year. I wasn't gonna go back. I did not want to go back. Um, and I made a deal with my mom, and she said, "Do it this year, finish the year, and if you don't like it after this year, you can be done. But if you like it, keep going, whatever." So I'm like, "All right." So then, um, one, I had a I don't like to say it, but I had a better coach that year. He actually wrestled before, unlike the coach I had the year
Oh,
before, who had never
wow.
wrestled. And I did a lot significantly better. I barely lost the match that year and placed fourth at like the junior high state tournament. So
Wow.
it was a big turnaround, and it was because I learned some wrestling. And then it's the next few years. I was in high school, so um, my freshman sophomore year, I didn't do so great. I was more focused on football. I was gonna make it to the
Okay.
NFL, be a running back, all that. But I didn't. And so my freshman year of high school, in Ohio, we have sectionals, districts, and the state tournament. Um, I I was an alternate for districts my freshman year, so I didn't make it to the next step. And then sophomore year, I was a match away from the state tournament, and I lost in overtime to go to the state
Dang.
tournament. And I just felt like it was like one of the worst losses I've ever had in my life, and I felt like complete garbage after.
Oh
And I was
God.
just like, I'm just like I just put it on me. I was like, I'm not doing enough. Like I'm not working hard enough. And then the next year, I didn't play football, and I just focused on wrestling. And I went from not even making the state tournament and to getting second at state tournament. And we were Division One. My high school, I think wrestling was like is probably right now the only sport they're Division One in, which is like big division in Ohio. So I ended up getting second in state tournament. I lost to someone who ended up becoming the two-time state champ. So I lost to two-time state champ in the finals. And then my senior year, I won the state tournament. I went undefeated. And then I got to Kent State. Sorry, that's a big explanation, basically.
Oh, that was awesome.
But yeah, that's basically my high school background in terms of wrestling.
So like when you said you lost in overtime to qualify and then you took second at state.
Yeah, yeah.
So like what did you do over that summer?
um, so that was the summer. That summer, I went to my very first wrestling camp. I had never been to a camp before. Um, and then I wrestled in the summer. I wrestled some tournaments, wrestled some matches. I didn't do a crazy amount in the summer, and then my like before the school year started, um, I was or not school year before the season started. I think I was wrestling 197, 195 in high school that year. I was 189 my freshman year, and then 195 because then they changed the weight classes. I was 195 the next 3 years, but that year I think I stepped on the scale at like 225 before the school year or for the season started, or
Okay.
220 or whatever. It was above 220, and so I was like, all right, I got to lose some weight. So I was like running every day, um, doing like I'd do like a couple hundred push-ups, couple hundred sit-ups. Like I'd run up and down. I'd work out at home, run up and down my stairs, run around the block. Basically anything I could do extra. My high school coach told me like I essentially need to. He was like, it was like one of those old-fashioned tricks. He's like, just break a sweat before you go to bed. So I I, I would go to practice because we had preseason workouts. Go to preseason workouts, stay after workout, um, then go home, work out before bed. And then I would also I started going to the gym, working out there. And then we were wrestling every day. So I was wrestling every day. Um, there was open mats on Sundays. I can't remember when they started during the school year, but there were open mats on Sundays at Cleveland State, and Eric Burnett would run those. So I'd go there and get some really good partners. Basically every day I was doing something, and it just became like I learned how to grind that year. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that was the first year I had to grind and work really hard. I made myself do that. My coach made me do that. And I guess I learned some work ethic and a little bit of toughness that year. And that made me that made the jump. I was in way better shape the next year, way stronger, way faster. And I learned a shot. So like my freshman sophomore year, I didn't know how to shoot. I would just do slide bys. I just do like throw bys, throw overs, whatever you call them. We called them slide bys. I would do those. That's it. And all my matches were 3-1, 3-2, 4-3 matches like that, 1 point matches. And then the next year, I learned how to hit a single leg. I learned how to hit a single leg. I would basically this worked on like 90% of kids I wrestled in high school. I would like tap their head one hand, tap their head the other hand, then club them, get an underhook, and then shoot a single. That was basically what I did all year, and it turned from
Nice.
being like a bunch of 1 point matches to like teching, pinning, majoring people. Um, so just learning some offense and like getting stronger, getting in better shape. That's basically all I did, and it like made the difference for that.
I like the that's awesome. but I do like the thing your coach told you, like break a sweat before you go to bed. That's a good rule of thumb to just like get better every day and stay focused and stuff.
Yeah, it's just something small, but once you start going, like you start sweating, you're like, all right, I'm gonna get something out of this, you know. So then you
Yeah.
actually do something. But if you tell yourself you're gonna do something small, you do something small, you go a little bit further, you go a little bit further, and that's basically what I did. Um, that helps a ton. But like if like some people are like, you set a goal and you're like, all right, I'm gonna do 500 push-ups tonight. It's like you start waiting around, you're like, no.
Yeah.
But if you're like, all right, I'm gonna do 50 push-ups tonight. 50 turns into 100. 100 might turn into 150. 150 turns into two. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
That's basically how I would do it. But yeah, that was one thing that made all the difference was just setting a small goal that I need to do this every night, and I did it.
Yeah, definitely. And then, so were you recruited by Penn State like right away?
No, I wasn't.
Or sorry, not
Uh,
Penn State, Kent State.
oh no, actually no, I was not recruited right away. What happened was my teammate from high school, he was a heavyweight. He was a senior when I was a junior, so he was being recruited that year, and I got brought up on the visit just to basically it was an unofficial to see the facilities and stuff. And the coach looks at me. He was like, "Yeah, we'll talk this time next year." And I'm like, "Okay," because this was right after the state tournament after I got second.
Hmm.
And then I went to Flow Nationals and I got fourth at Flow Nationals. And then they're like, "Hey, how would you come in for a visit?" So I came in for
Yeah.
a visit. And then that's when I started getting offers. Actually, I didn't get many offers after I got second in the state. Probably because I mean, you look at it like I didn't make it to the state tournament the year before. I was in 195, arguably a weaker weight class. So I didn't get a crazy amount of looks, but once I proved myself on like in a national tournament, then it made a little bit of a difference. So
Yeah. Man, I'm sick of the lower weights talking crap about 195. But
yeah,
it is true. They're all mostly like football players and stuff. But
yeah,
anyways,
yeah. You lose a lot of those guys to football too when they get to college. So
yeah. So were you like a little bitter when when the Kent State coach was like, "Let's talk next year," or not really?
not really because I was like, oh sweet, I'll get to talk to him
Oh,
next year.
yeah.
Like I was like, well, to give you a little background, I'm from a school where kids don't go D1, so like a lot of kids don't go D. Like I've was so I'm the first state champ for my high school, and actually the only state champ still.
Well,
Um, and there's been other state champs in my town since then. So I'm the first one in my actually town as well in any school. We used to have a few schools, and then two of them merged and became that's how we became a big school.
okay.
But there were none then. And then there was a private school that restarted the wrestling program. Like I think it was the year after I graduated, maybe or before that, somewhere around then. Um, they restarted their program, and then some guys went there and they won some state titles there. Um, but my school has not had one since then. We actually had a chance this year, but with everything happening,
Oh,
it
yeah.
didn't happen because one of the kids from that went to the private school. They were Division 3. He won two state titles there his freshman sophomore year, and then last year he transferred to my school. He got hurt before sectionals, and then this year this year everything happened, so the state tournament got
Yeah.
canceled.
Man,
I think
that
he was ranked second in the
sucks.
state. Yeah, but he had a chance. I mean, he had a chance to win it, but it's tough. You know,
Yeah.
that would have been pretty cool to have another one. So what I was getting to was that like it was a big deal to even be recruited by a school like that to even have the chance. So I wasn't like feeling bitter at all. You know?
Yeah. No, that's fair. You're just like pumped about the opportunity.
Yeah,
Hey, I would be too. So,
yeah.
eh, anyways, so then pretty much anyone that knows anything about wrestling knows you took third at the NCAA tournament in 2018.
Mhm.
Um, do you want to just talk a little bit about like your years before that at Kent State, like how those went?
So my years before that, my freshman year, um, my redshirt freshman year, or redshirt, my redshirt year, which was my freshman year. Um, I did I did pretty well in like redshirt competitions, tournaments and stuff. I think I beat a couple of guys who were ranked in the country or won. Um, I won the Edinburgh Open. That was pretty cool. I got a sword for that.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah, that was fun. And then my redshirt freshman year, um, I I had a few ranked wins. I was starting at 197. I had a few ranked wins, and then nationals. I went 2-2 at nationals. So it was decent. I lost to a guy that I had beat before to get to the blood round. So it was a pretty tough tournament. I was pretty happy with my result overall. It was one of the best freshman performances from like Kent State as from a Kent State guy. So it was pretty good freshman year. Things were looking up. And then the next year, which was my redshirt sophomore year, I had kind of a tough year. Had some injuries and um, some issues outside of wrestling, outside of everything, and I didn't wrestle that year. So I made it through half the year and kind of walked away from wrestling. Just was not having fun with it. And then
Sometimes you need that though.
yeah,
So
yeah. So I walked away, and then I ended up coming back the next year, which was the year I placed at nationals, and it was a tough road coming back. um, I got up to like I think I got up to like 250, 255 around there. But I was walking by the time I started, I was walking around at like 230 probably once I started like working out and wrestling again. And I mean, the weight came off pretty easy. Wrestling is one of the best ways to lose weight. Um,
okay, one way that we can relate is that I was a fifth year this year and graduated,
uh,
but my freshman year I like wrestled for like a month, quit, got up to like 245, and then rejoined and then wrestled at 97. But okay,
Dang,
you can continue.
yeah. That reminds me. I also wrestled my freshman year of college. The first half, I wrestled like my very first year when I redshirted. I wrestled 184 the first half of the year, which was not fun. Being a 195 through high school, I was 189 my freshman year of high school. Um, so that was the lightest I'd been since junior high because I had to cut to
Yeah,
189.
that's
Um,
crazy.
so I was like, I think I was 225 that summer, um, summer of before that year. So I cut down from 225 to 184. But anyways, yeah, then my redshirt junior year, that was when I placed that placed third at third at nationals. Sorry, um, and that was basically just a life changing experience in itself. You know.
That's like the main reason I brought up just because I want to know like how did your life change after that weekend?
Um, I guess I got to meet a lot of great people. I got to travel the country. Um, I got to have the opportunity at Penn State. Um, I mean, things just it was just crazy, and it was just that was something that was a goal for me from the moment I stepped on campus and realized that I could do that. To be an All American, that was a crazy goal for me. Um, and there were many times where it just didn't seem like it was ever going to happen, and then it happened, and it was just kind of testament to the people, my support system, and the work I put in, the work my support system put in to help me get there. You know, um, so it was just crazy feeling, and it's still. I mean, it's over now. I got to move on with my life, but it just still doesn't. Sometimes it just doesn't even register with me that it actually happened. You know, it's just it did. But it's just crazy. You know.
That's like a moment where I feel like a lot of wrestling fans like remember exactly where they were when it happened.
Yeah, I've had a lot of people tell me, and we back in my town we have a lot of like there's a lot of hardcore wrestling fans too. So if they ever see me, they're like, oh my god, I was here when you were like that. It's always, I mean, that's one thing when you have a good memory. It's like you always remember where you were. You know, that's something
Yeah.
when there's a crazy memory or something that happens, you always know where you were, what you were doing, who you were with, like how you felt. And it's just that was one of those moments, you know.
Yeah.
Obviously, I remember where I was, but
Oh, I'm telling you, I was on spring break in Destin, Florida. And one of my friends, it was a crazy trip. One of my friends like thought he had Crohn's disease. Anyways, um, all my friends were like freaking out, and I was like in the bathroom or something. I just like walked in. I was like, oh my goodness, like what is going on? But anyways, going forward from that, how did you end up talking to Penn State?
um, once I got on the transfer portal, Coach Kale reached out to me, and it was like I think it was after a few weeks I was on it. He reached out to me, and we kind of got a visit set up, and kind of just and really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it there. And I went on a few other visits, and it was just kind of a after that it was just a no brainer. Um, yeah, so it was just kind of like I went there, I went on my other visits, and I didn't take much time. Plus, there was kind of a time crunch with making a decision just because it was like April, I think. So and like applications for grad schools were ending in April, so I had to make a pretty quick decision and had to make a decision for myself and for my family too. So
Um, So, like, once that decision came out to the public, like, did you have, what was it like just like dealing with all the hype of everyone talking about all this stuff?
so like I don't generally I guess I don't have an issue with the hype as much as like I've had, which is something I've learned to get used to, is just like the hate, you know.
Yeah.
Um, People don't understand what situation you're in. They don't want to. Um, but I think I made the best regardless of what ended up happening. I ended up getting hurt again, but um, I think I made the best decision for myself and for my family, and um, that's to me that's all that matters. It is hard when you have um, people saying all types of things about you, but that's something that I guess comes with it. You know, it's not something I was expecting, but that's just something that comes with it. So that's something that you got to learn how to deal with. Otherwise, you're gonna let it break you.
Yeah, like, I'm sure there's like youth wrestling dads or something out there that are just like, see, I told you it wouldn't work out at Penn State, but like, also just like as a human, like, putting yourself in a place like that, I imagine that you just grow so much in so many different ways.
Yeah. My one of my main things when I was looking at schools was academics. Like I knew, like I had a chance to get hurt again. That's just like a labrum. Like I tore my labrum. That's just an injury that's hard to come back from. And some people, like at Kent, I had a couple of teammates that tore their labrums multiple times. And it's just something that's just you never know how well it's gonna hold up. But I've always known that there's a life after wrestling. Um,
Hmm.
it's just something that you have to make sure you're prepared for. And I knew that at that point, it was my sixth year, that I had way more life ahead of me than wrestling. So I made a decision for my family that I was going to make sure I paid attention to academics too. So I made sure I went to a school where I could get a degree. Penn State was pretty much the only school that I was looking at I could get a degree in a year. I have a business degree now too. I just graduated again. Happy for that. But I made sure I go.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I made sure I could go somewhere where I could get something academically out of it too, as well as with wrestling. And I think I've gotten a ton out regardless. So I'm pretty happy with my overall experience there.
What is Coach Kale like as a person?
Um, he's he's a character. He's definitely like I, I don't think that when you see him on what TV or videos or whatever you see him coaching, it's just there's two different people. It's him in the room or him out on the mat. and you wouldn't know you wouldn't know they're the same person, honestly. Like he's a funny guy, and like he just kind of like he's a leader. He commands the room, but at the same time, it's relaxed, it's fun. He knows how to lead, and I mean, it's been proven. So
Yeah, obviously. No, but one thing I wonder is like, does he make you guys sign a contract before going there to not talk about what you guys do during your practices? Because nobody knows.
I don't know. I'm not at liberty to discuss.
All right.
um, sorry.
Oh, you're good. Okay.
Um, okay, sorry.
No, anyways, but yeah, because everyone just talks about like how his style of coaching and their practices are so much different than like the, I don't know, like usual practices you think of. Are like, would
Yeah,
you say they're a lot different?
yeah, they're a lot different. I mean, I've experienced practices similar, but it's just something about it. Yeah, I don't think. I mean, in terms of like I mean, you probably heard we play dodgeball.
Yeah.
That's always something in the room. But yeah, I think for respect for the coaches and like their I don't want to say brands, but like what they do and their careers. I think guys keep it, to whatever they personally want to release, or they like if they release like their own technique videos or whatever. I think they keep it to like people don't like to get those things out.
hmm Is there like when you walk in just for like a regular practice, is there like a certain energy just in the room all the time that makes it
Yeah.
different or
Yeah, I think like every room has an energy. Like you go into a room, you can I think within a few minutes you can tell what type of energy it is in there. And I think it's a welcoming energy. Like um if you're training over there, you're or RTC, you're training there, you're visiting or something like that, like you're gonna feel welcome. You're gonna feel like relaxed. You're gonna have fun. You're gonna meet new people. People are very nice there, and like I think just like Happy Valley in general. People are just I've experienced so many just like nice people there. It's just crazy, and that's in and out of the room.
obviously like when you're on a team you're pretty good friends with everyone, but who are like your closest friends there?
Um, I mean, I just, I mean, I'm friends with pretty much everybody.
Yeah.
Uh, people. I mean, I'd say people who I've talked to the most. He's gone now, but Teskey, we were pretty. I mean, we talked a lot. Um, I mean, I talked to Chenzo a lot. Neville's, Seth Neville's. Me and him talked a lot, but I mean, I wouldn't say I'm like crazy close. I was only there for like what 8 months. It's kind of hard to
hmm
be like a 6th year guy when you're new. Like at Kent, I was there for five years. So I mean,
Yeah.
you know, it's a lot more time to get to know somebody. And plus, as a freshman, like you're generally in the dorms, so there's a difference between knowing somebody and like living on your own, um,
Yeah,
and knowing
that's
somebody
true.
and having to live with them and having to live with them every day. And when I was at Kent my freshman year, we had all of the freshmen. We were like it was two per dorm. We were like lined up like 10 of us, and that's when you really get to know somebody. You know what I
Yeah, I
mean?
bet that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean it was at times, and sometimes it wasn't.
Yeah.
Like you become brothers and you fight like brothers too. So that's not
Yeah.
fun.
Can only handle like so much of one person at one time.
Yeah.
But yeah. Um and then yeah, I guess like so if I had to guess, I would say Chenzo, but who was like the funniest guy on the team?
I would say Chenzo. He's really funny.
Okay. Just from his like interviews and like the stuff he's always posting. Seems like a character that doesn't take himself too seriously.
Him and Shaq make me laugh.
What is that guy like?
He's different. That's the only way I can show. He's different, but he's funny. He's a really real good dude. He's a real good guy.
That's awesome. Yeah, he's very stylish on the gram.
Yeah, he
I
is.
respect that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so now that you're kind of done with school, um and you're done wrestling, are you like planning to do anything like jujitsu, even like just for fun?
I would I would like to. I know I kind of like left it up in the air. Wrestling at that level just for me does not seem possible or smart.
Hmm.
um, just because the second surgery I had was much much more invasive than the first one, and I still have to have another surgery
Hmm.
on my knee. I tore my meniscus too. Um,
Jeez.
yeah, so I'm still. I mean, with the quarantine, it was supposed to happen back in March. So I would have been. I mean, I would have been probably recovered by now. Yeah, because I mean, it's just a. It's. I don't think it has to be a complete repair. So I've never had a knee surgery, so but I've seen like where people get like their like they just get something shaved off or like they
Hmm.
get something taken out with their meniscus and they're back on their feet within a few days. So I
Yeah.
think that's what's it needs to be happen or it needs to happen with me. But essentially, we're just waiting for this to be over. Um, so I would like to do like I think the best I could do is jujitsu, but even that like I don't know how well my shoulder would hold up. I did get so I got a lat surgery. So essentially they shaved off a bone in my shoulder,
Okay.
and then because I had a bone chip, so when like it came out of socket, it like chipped the bone. So then
Oh.
they take the bone and they put it on where the chip was and they screw it in.
Hmm.
So essentially that's supposed to like block it out so it can't like slip as easy. So that blocks it out. Um, and hopefully it makes it easier. But I had the choice of like not getting surgery and basically not being able to do anything and like still having the chance for my shoulder to slip, like basically like reaching up on a shelf, or I could get another
Jeez.
arthroscopic, which is what I had last time, which was essentially like not like make it less likely to slip, but there's still like a decent chance. Or this where it's the lowest chance for it to slip again, and I could possibly return. But I just like I don't see wrestling at a high level in that just because I like the way I wrestle when I'm like at 100% is explosive and upper body. So it's really hard to like get underhooks, which is this is my
Yeah.
underhook arm, the one I hurt my underhook arm.
Perfect.
It's really hard to do that when you can't get your shoulder. I'm gonna have like permanent like limited flexibility with this now, just because of the bone. Um, but I would hope that I could do sport jujitsu like just for fun. Uh, and I don't know if competing at anything physical at a high level is just like going to be able to happen, which kind of
Yeah.
crappy, but I mean I guess that's life.
You can
So
focus on like programming now though at least.
yeah, exactly.
So
So hopefully I'll be able to focus on that more. I have been lately, just because I've been home. Um, so yeah, we'll see how that goes.
nice. Yeah, that's cool. Um, and then yeah, like I figure with jujitsu, it's at least like I know like practices are supposed to be less hard on your body compared to like a wrestling practice, but then
Hmm.
someone's also trying to like break your arm, so that could you can
Exactly. Yeah,
fall
I've
into
I've done
trouble.
jujitsu. I've done jujitsu. Um, I started actually doing it after I was recovering from the last surgery. Um, after I was actually cleared. Um, so I started jujitsu, and it was like it's super relaxed. Like if you wanted to do jujitsu every day of the week, like you'd have to be in some kind of shape. But if you want to do jujitsu every day of the week, if you went
Hmm.
to a certain gym, like some gyms go harder than other ones, like it's all based on the gym. But if you go to like a gym where it's like they're not going crazy hard, like you could do it. Like I could do it every day. I would you just tell people like, hey, like this shoulder, like I had surgery on it, and people are pretty nice too. Like most people are pretty nice, and they won't go for it. So I mean, I could realistically do it, but I don't think that I could. Unless they come out with bionic arms, I don't think I could compete at a high level without like being worried about, you know, like tearing this up even
Yeah.
more.
Yeah. And then I know like you kind of help raise your nephew and nieces, and then like through school you also worked a bunch. Like how many hours a week did you work?
So I actually started working the year that I wasn't wrestling at Kent.
Okay.
Um, it was in like March I started working, and then the next year was I started working and wrestling with school. Then I was working, so like I was a part-time worker, and the max you could work for my job. So the max you could work for as a Kent State employee was as a part-time worker was 28 hours a week. But as my particular job, I worked two jobs at Kent. Um, and one was like a seasonal job. Uh, but I would work 20 hours a week for that job. And I want to say it got bumped up the second because I worked there for two seasons. Like when I was there my senior year when I got hurt the first time. I think it got bumped up to like 22 hours maybe. I was like budgeted to work or something like that. But I don't quite remember. And then I was like a baseball field worker at their like field. So like essentially we'd host high school baseball games, and I would like basically take care of the mound after games. Just like rebuild the mound. It's not, they weren't digging in it like crazy, but I'd redo the mound and just like make sure people weren't bringing in any like prohibited items and like basically keeping the place clean. So it was a pretty simple job, but I would max out my 28 hours with that in this like spring and summer when like games were going. But so I
Okay.
did that with a full schedule of classes and wrestling.
Yeah, like how the question is just like how did you do all that stuff and like balance it and not like yeah.
Um, so I was pretty lucky with my job actually. So I was tech support. So my job was and I wasn't the student tech support. So we had tech help, which was like the Kent State student support. And basically anybody. So they would work on like your laptops, your phones, whatever. I was faculty and staff support for a certain building. So I worked in it was like the languages building. So um, basically people were teaching other languages or like college writing or like ESL stuff like that. Um, I worked in that building, and I would only work on university owned stuff. So anything that was in the building or owned by the university that like faculty was given or bought. So like faculty could buy computers, like laptops, like MacBooks,
Mhm.
Windows PCs. They could buy those computers, and so like I would basically do maintenance on them. I would do maintenance on the computers in the building and stuff. But when I wasn't working, when like let's say it was a day, there've been some days where I only answer like two three calls or something like that. So like the
Yeah.
rest of the time I'm working, I'm just waiting just in case something happens. Because like if something happens and somebody's trying to teach a class, projector goes out, or like there's audio issues or something like that, they're trying to give a presentation, then I'd come fix it while it's happening. But if nothing's happening, then I could do homework essentially. So like I was kind of lucky that in my free time when I was working, I could work on my schoolwork. Um, but as aside from like that, like being home was pretty. I was pretty much home to go to sleep. So like I'd
Yeah.
wake up like 5 a.m., 5:30 a.m., and then go to like lifting. Some days lifting I would go at like I think we had like a 5:45 lift or something like that. I would go. Um, so I go to lifting, then I go to work for a little bit, then I go to class, then I go back to work because it's on campus. And
Mhm.
I'd say where I worked was probably about a 5 minute walk from where I practiced, and which was about a 5 minute walk to class. So it'd take me mostly like 10 minutes to get from like work to class. Um,
Yeah.
because like at that point I was already deep into my major, so I was taking all major classes. So like all of them were in the same general area.
Yeah.
Um, so then I'd go back to work to practice to class to work till like eight till like I think 8:30 my shift would end, and then I go home.
So there's not a
It
lot of
was like
time to sit on the couch and play video games.
no, just on the weekends. But when I wasn't,
Yeah.
so like we'd have like a weekend practice, and like weekends were good, but during the week it was just like go 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 go. It wasn't that bad once I got into like a groove. Just because the way it happened was I was working and doing classes, and then I added wrestling to it. So it wasn't like it was all at once, like work
Mhm.
class wrestling. It was like work class. I did that for like a few months, and then I started wrestling again. Then it was work class wrestling. So then I added that to it. But wrestling is different because sometimes, like with scheduling, with practice and stuff, some things change. Plus, we have meets, we have travel days, stuff like that. So that was something I had to work out with my boss, but he was like completely understanding of it. He was really, really good about that actually. So
Yeah,
I got pretty lucky too with that.
that's absolutely insane.
Yeah.
That's crazy. What have you like gained from just working those like let's see, that's like 15 hours a day of just not being at home? Like do you look back on that and just see it as something you did that makes you a little bit tougher?
Yeah, honestly, yeah. Sometimes I'm like, wait, how did you do that?
Yeah.
Because like now, like I mean, especially now. Well, also it's just like right after that. So like right after my I graduated. So I graduated in December of 2018. So after I graduated, I can't work that job anymore because I was no longer a student. Um, so once I graduated, I came home because I had my surgery. It was like the week after I graduated, I had my surgery and I came home and it was like nothing. Like I went from like 15-hour days to literally sitting around all day doing nothing. And it was like, at first it was terrible. Um, and then I was just like, I got used to it a little bit. And then I went back to school. I basically took an 8 month break from school, which was nice because I got to be home after basically being at school for 4.5 years. I got to be home with my niece and nephews um, for a while for 8 months, and then went back to school till well, I guess till what March because of the coronavirus. So I went home for spring break and then never came back to school
Yeah.
this year. So I've been home since then, and it's been nice to be to be finally back home because this is where I plan on being. Not quite exactly, but I plan on being in Northeast Ohio so I can be close to my family, be close to the kids. Um, so I've been looking for jobs around here, which makes it a lot tougher, especially right now
Yeah.
when it's like a lot of jobs, people are getting laid off and companies are freezing or slowing down hiring. And I don't really have any experience because I went from being in school, and a lot of places don't count school like being a student worker as experience. And plus, it's not programming. I wasn't doing any programming on the job, so it's been kind of tough trying to find stuff right now. But it's also been nice getting a break and being home again.
Hmm.
So, and it's given me time to work on like the game programming and kind of just play video games too. So,
Yeah. What kind of games do you play?
I've been playing a ton of different games lately. Um, I so like I'm a PC gamer.
Hmm.
And I play like I have a Switch. I have like an Xbox too. Um,
Okay.
like, but mostly I play PC. I started back when I was in high school, but lately what I've been playing is I just started it like probably like 2.5 weeks ago, 2 3 weeks ago. Call of Duty Warzone. I started playing that because I get to play that with my other brother. He lives in California, so like I've seen him probably like I'd say less than 10 times since I was like 10 years old maybe. And I got to see him in CKLV because he came to watch me at CKLV my redshirt freshman year in Vegas. That's the last time I seen him. So that was back in 2015. I haven't seen him in 5 years.
Wow.
Um,
Is
so
that an
I get
older
to play
brother?
video games with him. What's that?
Is that an older brother?
Yeah, he's my oldest brother. So I have two brothers and two sisters.
Okay.
I'm the youngest. I'm the youngest of the five.
Oh, yeah, you mentioned that, sorry.
Yeah, no, you're fine. So I get to play video games with him, and I don't get to do that often. So I've been playing that with him. I play a lot of like indie games on Steam. I've been playing. Well, I've played a lot of Rocket League. I still play that. That's on my rotation. Like that's like that. Was playing Smash Bros. I was playing Smite. Um, what else have I been playing? There's this game I just got. I was playing that with actually one of my teammates from Kent. He's in the army, but he's like stationed here right now because of everything going on. Um, so he doesn't really have much to do. So we would play video games. We played this game called Project Winter. Have you played Mafia
I've heard of it. I haven't played it though.
or Town of Salem or something like that? Like
Mm-mm.
any
I
or
pretty much just have a Switch and play like really basic games.
what do you play?
So, just I mean lately just like Smash pretty much all
Smash.
quarantine. So,
I've played I've played I've played Smash more probably more than any game just because there's so many.
yeah.
Um, I've played
And
that
Breath of the Wild.
Breath of the Wild. That's a good game. I got it right. I got it right when it came out, and I'm terrible at finishing games. And I had like 90 shrines and like um I had like all the beasts, divine beasts, and plus I had the DLC for like the Master Sword. And so like a couple months ago, I was like, I'm just gonna beat this game. So I was like, but I'm not gonna beat it before I beat the Master Sword DLC. So I beat the Master Sword DLC. It took me forever, because it's just so hard. And then I finally beat the game. And I was just like, it's such a great game. It's an amazing game. Like I think I had like 150 hours on it or something like that.
Dang.
Just because it's just so huge. Like, and I didn't even complete everything. Like, not even close.
Yeah. I played like 50 hours of it pretty much in the beginning of quarantine, and then I have like really bad like ADHD or something. I can't play games more than 50 hours, I guess. So then pretty much after that I just played Smash, and then I play Fortnite just like to hang out with friends pretty much.
hmm
But, you know. But
Yeah, I
yeah.
pretty much play Warzone to hang out with my brother, but I'm not very good. I've been getting better. Like I don't play. I was the last shooter I played a lot of was Fortnite, and it's been a couple years since I've played that. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty much the same honestly. But yeah. Okay, this is awesome. We got the gaming podcast going on.
yeah,
Anyways, my last question is, who do you got, Dake or Burrows?
Dacre Burrows.
Yeah, and
Um,
why?
See, okay, so I'll give you my perspective before I give you my answer first.
It's fair.
So going into this year with the trials, I was like, if Burrows takes this trials, he is the GOAT. Like undeniably the GOAT. For me at least. I know like people have arguments for John
That's
Smith, Bruce
fair enough
Baumgartner,
though.
but fair enough. Yeah, yeah, like fair enough. But like the level of competition and how uh stacked his weight class was going to be this year and the age he is and how long he's been going and how hard he's been going, it's just like crazy. Like the level of competition, was it 74 kilos, right?
Hmm.
The level of
I
competition
think so.
74 kilos is crazy. But holding it off for another year, like I I don't know. Like my heart says Burrows, but my mind says Dake.
Yeah.
So if that's any type of answer, like like I really want Burrows to win, but part of me is just like, man, Dake's ready. Dake's in his prime. Like Burrows is kind of at the end of his prime. Um, I would bet that this is probably his last cycle. Um, I'm not like like I talk about like this like I watch a ton of wrestling. I don't watch a ton of wrestling, um, but I am Jordan Burroughs fan. But I think I'll have to, as much as I want Burroughs to win. I think I'll say that next year I think Dake will probably take it.
See, that's a better answer than mine because I literally just change my mind every day and go back and forth.
I would
So,
like I wanted to like I want Burroughs to win, but like I said, my heart says Burroughs, but my mind, like the logical part of me says like Dake. But I know way, shape, or form, and I'm not saying Burroughs can't win. I'm not saying that. I 100% believe he can win,
oh
but
yeah.
what somebody has to win. Like that's the bottom
Yeah.
line. Somebody is going to win when they wrestle, and that's it.
Do
You know?
you do you know any of them like personally, or have you talked to any of them?
No, I don't know any of them.
Okay,
I
so
mean,
so
I've
there's
seen
no
them.
bias.
Yeah, no, there's no bias. I've seen that. I've seen them. I actually don't think I've seen Burroughs in person. I've seen Dake in person, because he was coaching Cornell at a tournament, but I don't think I've seen Burroughs in person. But I've never talked to them. So
Okay, awesome. I love that. You kind of have to like go into the details, otherwise it's just a
right, like
arbitrary
I can't
guess.
just give a straight answer because then I sound like a homer either way.
Yeah. But that's all I got for you today. So I appreciate you hopping on. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, it was fun. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem.